Hello friends, today we are going to study about consumer behavior. In this topic, we will study the attitude formation and attitude change strategies. Further, we will understand the cognitive dissonance theory and study the attribution theory. Let's begin with introduction. People often try to influence others. Salespeople urge customers to buy goods or services. Politicians exhort people to vote for them. Dating partners try to make a good impression on each other. Managers attempt to maintain employees' dedication to work, and advertisers try to raise interest in consumers' products. In all of these examples, people try to make others like or dislike particular objects, ideas, individuals, groups or tasks. Attitudes are tendencies to like or dislike something such as an idea, person or behavior, and the object of these tendencies, that is, the thing being liked or disliked, is often called the attitude object. Attitudes indirectly or directly affect behavior in virtually every social interaction. This is why the study of attitudes and attitude change is a fundamental area of social psychological research. Now, let's study about attitude formation. Formation or sources of attitudes. Attitudes refer to the feelings and beliefs of individuals or groups of individuals. But the question is how these feelings and beliefs developed. The point which has been stressed by many people are that attitudes are acquired but not inherited. A person acquires these attitudes from several sources. The attitudes are acquired but not important sources of acquiring attitudes are as discussed here. Firstly, direct personal experience. A person's direct experience with the attitude object determines his attitude towards it. The personal experience of an individual, whether it is favorable or unfavorable, will affect his attitude deeply. These attitudes, which are based on personal experience, are difficult to change. For example, an individual joins a new job, which is recommended to him by his friend. But when he joins the job, he finds his work repetitive, supervisors too tough, and co-workers not so cooperative. He would develop a negative attitude towards his job because the quality of his direct experience with the job is negative. Secondly, association. Sometimes an individual comes across a new attitude object which may be associated with an old attitude object. In such a case, the attitude towards the old attitude object may be transferred towards the new attitude object. For example, if a new worker remains most of the time in the company of a worker who is in the good books of the supervisor and towards whom the supervisor has a positive attitude, the supervisor is likely to develop a favorable attitude towards the new worker also. Hence, the positive attitude for the old worker has been transferred towards the new worker because of the association between the old and the new worker. Thirdly, family and peer groups. Attitudes like values are acquired from parents, teachers and peer group members. In our early years, we begin modeling our attitudes after those we admire, respect or maybe even fear. We observe the way our family and friends behave and we shape our attitudes and behavior to align with theirs. We do so even without being told to do so and even without having direct experience. Similarly, attitudes are acquired from peer groups in colleges and organizations. For example, if the right thing is to visit Hot Millions or the Domino's, you are likely to hold that attitude. If your parents support one political party without being told to do so, you automatically start favoring that party. Fourthly, neighborhood. The neighborhood in which we live has certain cultural facilities, religious groupings, and ethnic differences. Further, it has people who are neighbors. These people may be northerners, southerners, etc. The people belonging to different cultures have different attitudes and behaviors. Some of these we accept and some of these we deny and possibly rebel. The conformity or rebellion in some respects is the evidence of the attitudes we hold. Fifthly, economic status and occupations. The economic status and occupational position of the individual also affect his attitude formation. Our socio-economic background influences our present and future attitudes. Research findings have shown that unemployment disturbs former religious and economic values. Children of professional class tend to be conservatives. Respect for the laws of the country is associated with increased years of higher education. Sixthly, mass communications. Attitudes are generally less stable as compared to values. Advertising messages, for example, attempt to alter the attitude of the people toward a certain product or service. For example, if the people at Hyundai Santro can get you to hold a favorable feeling toward their cars, that attitude may lead to a desirable behavior for them, your purchase of a Santro car. Next topic that we will be studying is attitude change strategies. Changing attitudes is generally very difficult, particularly when consumers suspect that the marketer has a self-serving agenda in bringing about this change. For example, to get the consumer to buy more to switch brands. Changing affect. One approach is to try to change affect, which may or may not involve getting consumers to change their beliefs. One strategy uses the approach of classical conditioning. Try to pair the product with a light stimulus. For example, we pair a car with a beautiful woman. Alternatively, we can try to get people to like the advertisement and hope that this liking will spill over into the purchase of a product. For example, the Pillsbury Dog Boy does not really emphasize the convenience of much information to the consumer. Instead, it attempts to create a warm, fuzzy image. Although Energizer Bunny ads try to get people to believe that their batteries last longer, the main emphasis is on the likable bunny. Finally, products which are better known through the mere exposure effect tend to be better liked. That is, the more a product is advertised and seen in stores, the more it will generally be liked, even if consumers do not develop any specific beliefs about the product. Changing behavior. People like to believe that their behavior is rational. Thus, once they use our products, chances are that they will continue unless someone is able to get them to switch. One way to get people to switch to our brand is to use temporary price discounts and coupons. However, when consumers buy a product on deal, they may justify the purchase based on that deal, that is the low price, and may then switch to other brands on deal later. A better way to get people to switch to our brand is to at least temporarily obtain better shelf space so that the product is more convenient. Consumers are less likely to use this availability as a rationale for their purchase and may continue to buy the product even when the product is less conveniently located. Changing beliefs. Although attempting to change beliefs is the obvious way to attempt attitude change, particularly when consumers hold unfavorable or inaccurate ones, this is often difficult to achieve because consumers tend to resist. Several approaches to belief change exist. Firstly, change currently held beliefs. It is generally very difficult to attempt to change beliefs that people hold, particularly those that are strongly held even if they are inaccurate. For example, the petroleum industry advertised for a long time that its profits were lower than were commonly believed and provided extensive factual evidence in its advertising to support this reality. Consumers were suspicious and rejected this information, however. Secondly, change the importance of beliefs. Although the sugar manufacturers would undoubtedly like to decrease the importance of healthy teeth, it is usually not feasible to make beliefs less important. Consumers are likely to reason why, then would you bother bringing them up in the first place? However, it may be possible to strengthen beliefs that favor us. For example, a vitamin supplement manufacturer may advertise that it is extremely important for women to replace iron lost through menstruation. Most consumers already agree with this, but the belief can be made stronger. Thirdly, add beliefs. Consumers are less likely to resist the addition of beliefs so long as they do not conflict with existing beliefs. Thus, the beef industry has added beliefs that beef is convenient and it can be used to make a number of creative dishes. Vitamin manufacturers attempt to add the belief that stresses causes vitamin depletion, which sounds quite plausible to most people. Fourthly, change ideal. It is usually difficult and very risky to attempt to change ideals, and only few firms succeed. For example, hard candy may have attempted to change the ideal away from traditional beauty towards more unique self-expression. Now, let us study about cognitive dissonance theory. This theory was given by Leon Festinger. According to cognitive dissonance theory, there is a tendency for individuals to seek consistency among their cognitions, that is, beliefs, opinions, etc. When there is an inconsistency between attitudes or behaviors, that is dissonance, something must change to eliminate the dissonance. In the case of a discrepancy between attitudes and behaviors, it is most likely that the attitude will change to accommodate the behavior. Two factors affect the strength of the dissonance: the number of dissonant beliefs and the importance attached to each belief. There are three ways to eliminate dissonance. Firstly, reduce the importance of the dissonant beliefs. Secondly, add more consonant beliefs that outweigh the dissonant beliefs. Or thirdly, change the dissonant beliefs so that they are no longer inconsistent. Dissonance occurs most often in situations where an individual must choose between two incompatible beliefs or actions. The greatest dissonance is created when the two alternatives are equally attractive. Furthermore, attitude change is more likely in the direction of less incentive, since this results in lower dissonance. In this respect, dissonance theory is contradictory to most behavioral theories, which would predict greater attitude change with increased incentive, that is, reinforcement. Application. Dissonance theory applies to all situations involving attitude formation and change. It is especially relevant to decision making and problem solving. For example, consider someone who buys an expensive car but discovers that it is not comfortable on long drives. Dissonance exists between their beliefs that they have bought a good car and that a good car should be comfortable. Dissonance could be eliminated by deciding that it does not matter since the car is mainly used for short trips, that is, reducing the importance of the dissonant belief, or focusing on the car's strengths such as safety, appearance, handling, that is, thereby adding more consonant beliefs. The dissonance could also be eliminated by getting rid of the car, but this behavior is a lot harder to achieve than changing beliefs. Now, let us look at the principles. Firstly, dissonance results when an individual must choose between attitudes and behaviors that are contradictory. Secondly, dissonance can be eliminated by reducing the importance of the conflicting beliefs, acquiring new beliefs that change the balance, or removing the conflicting attitude or behavior. Now, let us study about attribution theory. It is a theory which supposes that people attempt to understand the behavior of others by attributing feelings, beliefs and intentions to them. Attribution theory deals with how the social perceiver uses information to arrive at causal explanations for events. It examines what information is gathered and how it is combined to form a causal judgment. Attribution theory is concerned with how and why ordinary people explain events as they do. Heather in 1958 believed that people are naive psychologists trying to make sense of the social world. People tend to see cause and effect relationships even where there is none. Heather didn't so much develop a theory himself as emphasize certain themes that others took up. There were two main ideas that he put forward that became influential. Firstly, internal attribution, the process of assigning the cause of behavior to some internal characteristic rather than to outside forces. When we explain the behavior of others, we look for enduring internal attributions such as personality traits. For example, we attribute the behavior of a person to their personality, motives or beliefs. Secondly, external attribution, the process of assigning the cause of behavior to some situation or event outside a person's control rather than to some internal characteristic. When we try to explain our own behavior, we tend to make external attributions such as situational or environment features. So, let us summarize today's session. In today's session, we have studied about firstly, attitude formation. It refers to the feelings and beliefs of individuals or groups of individuals. Secondly, attitude change strategies. Generally, changing attitudes is very difficult, particularly when consumers suspect that the marketer has a self-serving agenda in bringing about this change. Thirdly, cognitive dissonance theory. According to cognitive dissonance theory, there is a tendency for individuals to seek consistency among their cognitions, that is beliefs, opinions, etc. And lastly, we studied about attribution theory. It is a theory which supposes that people attempt to understand the behavior of others by attributing feelings, beliefs and intentions to them. Thank you.